everyone. This is the committee chairs of the Greenfield City Council. We are locating our meeting tonight at the Greenfield City Hall room, second floor, and it's a hybrid meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. It is 6:02 p.m. Before we begin, I need to read the following statement. This meeting is being recorded by committee chairs. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. The purpose of this meeting is to prepare agendas for subcommittees for council consideration. No discussion or comments will be entertained unless requested upon by the committee chairs. We need to have a roll call.
Councillor Gwynn. Councillor Forgy.
Here.
Councillor Elmer.
Here.
Councillor Bullock.
Here.
Councillor Disorder.
Here.
Madam Vice President, you have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Starting with the president's notes, the first piece on the agenda is the assignment of police officers at the 2023 elections, which is submitted by our clerk, Catherine Scott.
So as now part of the new law, the council has to assign police officers.
Okay.
That's all.
And we will, and it will go right out to council floor. It will not go into any committee.
Good.
Okay, the status on the proposed amendment to Rules of Procedure, Rule 2, Meetings, Section A, Regular Meetings. This was originally introduced at the June committee chairs. I think it was talked about a little bit before that. This is in regard to having summer hours for the council. At this point, I think that the summer months being over, it's a bit of a moot point, and my opinion is that we should move this so that it appears on the new council agenda in January, and that new council can make the decision. Since the summer months will happen when we have new members. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, moving along. Proposed changes to Charter Chapter 7-7 and 7-8 submitted by the ad hoc committee members, Councilors Catherine Golub and Councilor Derek Healy. This was set up by Council President to make recommendations back to the council. I guess I need a little bit of guidance or advice on this. Is this something that we will be voting on? Or does this need to go into another committee of the council? Because this came from a citizen.
7-7-7-8.
Yes,
Mayor?
yes, please.
When the council president set this in motion, he wanted the 7-7-7-8 committee to forward recommendations to the A&O
Okay,
before it went to the council so that they could see the recommendations and
and
so
review them and
review them.
make a recommendation.
Mhm.
Okay, so Mary Ann, guess what?
I'm gonna actually ask that I spoke with the committee chair of 7-7-7-8 with the ad hoc committee. And I'm gonna ask that this gets held on the appointments and ordinances agenda for next month because they haven't approved their final minutes. And so I think for the process, for the committee to feel like the process has been complete, they want to approve their minutes, have a statement where everyone has looked over the recommendations, and then have it come to appointments and ordinances. And I think we'll probably, hopefully meet less resistance
Okay,
if that happens.
very good. So that will be forwarded upon their recommendation, their finalization of their notes, their minutes.
Yep.
Excuse me, and then sent along to A&O, and hopefully that'll happen next month. All right. We have fiscal year balance sheet and end of year reports, including general funds, grants, and revenues submitted by Councilor Virginia DeSorger. Also, I'm going to take these as three, okay, if that's okay with you, Councilor DeSorger. The update on the tax recap, the cherry sheet and new growth, and updates for the fiscal year 2024 budget, if any, submitted. These are all submitted by Councilor DeSorga. Let's see. So I guess, Councilor DeSorga, do you have any comments on this?
Yes, actually, this was, Diana Schindler was thinking it would be a good time to give us an update on everything. So thank you for getting all of that to us. And Director Schindler, it looks like I didn't see the end of the year for 23. I saw the end of the year for receipts, but not expenditures. That looked like it was the first month of July.
I'll make
Of
sure
20.
that I did put that on shared and sent it out, but I'll create the entire packet and
Perfect.
And that
Thank
will
you
go
so
to-
much.
That would go to Ways and Means this
Perfect.
month.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
For discussion?
Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
for discussion?
Discussion.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then we have the mayor's appointments. Would you like to take that into A&O?
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Economic Development Committee, we don't have any agenda items on that, Phil.
Right. I don't have anything on my agenda, and I polled my committee to see if anybody had anything they wanted to bring forward. None of the people who responded did. So I thought maybe we'd take this month off.
That's fine. Everybody okay with that? All chairs? Okay. Appointments and Ordinance Committee, the mayor's appointments, which we've already talked about. Adopt a code, City of Greenfield Ordinance, Chapter 279, Home Equity, Article 1, Disposition of Surplus Equity. And I'll also go right on to include adopt City Code of Greenfield Ordinance, Chapter 279, Home Equity, Article 2, Provisions of Restitution. Your committee, do you want it this month?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
leave that one on for this month.
Okay, very good. That's on A&O. Discussion items, amendment to Greenfield Charter, Chapter 6-11, Public Safety Commission, updated version, introduced February 16th, 2023. See A&O meeting minutes from March 8th, 2023.
That one, I think we wanted to invite the Public Safety Commission when we discuss it,
Oh,
so
I have the minutes here. Do you want to look at them before you? I mean,
they're from the Public Safety
no,
Commission?
from the March 8th meeting.
Oh,
I didn't look at them. I just brought them with me in case anybody.
I'm pretty sure what happened was we invited Public Safety and then the meeting got canceled for some reason. So let's hold that one and invite Public Safety for discussion.
Okay.
Okay. Report of recommendations submitted by the we already did
That
that.
one we're gonna hold.
Hold, right? Proposed ordinance to ban gas-powered leaf blowers in Greenfield, Mass.
That one we're gonna hold too because that language isn't complete yet.
Is there a sponsor, is there council sponsor?
I'm sponsoring it.
Okay.
We might want to change the name of what we're calling it. It's gonna be something else.
Okay.
Maybe noise ordinance, but yeah, I'll let you guys know what we'll change the name to once I
So
get.
don't put it on this month for discussion,
No,
but keep it under the discussion items.
yeah, we'll want that one to come back up soon.
Good. Proposed ordinance to address dog bite and dangerous dogs in Greenfield.
That one we want to keep on for this month.
Okay, that's on A&O for this month. Okay. Proposed amendments to ride for hire ordinance. I believe
That's Counselor Gwen.
Right,
I haven't seen anything.
yeah.
Let's hold that one too, because I think if he had had time to finalize it, he would have forwarded it.
Okay. Community relations, discussion, that's me, discussion with counselors and residents of precinct 1, 2, and 3. Just so everybody knows, I've been working with Kathy, we've been putting together an agenda, and that meeting will take place this month. And there will be publicity surrounding that meeting. It will be out in the recorder at, a
More like a
public
press release,
service announcement, yes, okay. Ways and Means, interfund transfer of $7,650 from executive salaries, full-time to accounting salaries, full-time. I believe, if this is okay with you, Councilor Sawyer, could go straight out to Council 4. It doesn't need to be revisited in committee.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And then, let's see what else. Discussion items. Consider home rule petition for compensating reimbursement to the schools, city for monies spent regarding the education and care of foster children, originally introduced in December 2022 Chairs Committee. Is that something Ways and Means will be taking up?
Could you repeat, Chris, could you repeat that?
Sure. This was something that came forward in December of 2022 to consider a home rule petition for compensating or reimbursing the schools in our city for monies that are spent regarding the education and care of foster children.
Let me can event though.
Do you want to take that this month or push it out to another month?
I think we should push it out. I
Okay,
think we should
very
push
good.
that out.
So we should push it out to the October agenda? Thank you. The audit with Powers and Sullivan. Very important. And I guess I'm looking for some guidance, Councilor Sorger, on getting those auditors in. We really only have about 2 weeks. I don't know if that's enough lead time to get them in.
I think we should invite them for October.
Okay,
And at that time, I think we also should have Fernando come because there was a lot of references on the cybersecurity, but we'd need Powers and Sullivan. I figured
Okay.
that would be October. Thank
okay,
you.
so for the October Ways and Means, and then I'm thinking either October or November council, we do want the report of the audit to go out. So can we contact, please, the mayor's office, find out what will work for them to be involved in it, even though it is a council function to have the auditors? Can we reach out to those auditors, find out when they can come to the Ways and Means meeting in October, and notify the mayor's office to that effect as well, and Director Schindler? I know these parties will want to be present, so can we do that? Okay. Follow up on cybersecurity is mentioned in the audit. That was introduced in June at the June Committee Chairs. Don't know what the status of that is. Anybody? No? Okay.
So, can I?
Yes, please.
Ask the question, just so I'm prepared. Okay, so, I believe that we do have in our technology budget some funding to address some cybersecurity. I'm not sure if it's what was, came through in our audit findings, but just to be clear, when you are asking for the auditors to come in, are you looking for them to go through their audit findings and, for
Yes.
23 and just have some discussion about that and
Yes.
give recommendations? Okay, all right, I just to get an understanding.
We usually if memory serves me correctly, last year we got 2 separate booklets. And so one was basically findings and the other one was the findings and recommendations. And then the other one was the bigger piece to show strengths and weaknesses and everything else. So,
Right, we get the financial report, then we get the manager report that has the actual narrative of things that can be improved or that were looked at last time that we did improve. So, and that had cybersecurity, it had a fraud assessment, which we also, so both of those things we have gotten some information on to start moving those processes forward. So we can bring that as well to have that information.
Okay, so if I could, please, where are the documents right now, the audit documents?
Oh, I believe we have them in the building. We have hard copies. We get a certain amount. I think the clerk's office gets them. I think they came out when they first arrived in your pack. One day they were sitting out here, I believe, in your your bag, when you had some hard copies.
So we get a copy, but we don't have enough copies to give to everyone?
Oh, I thought we had
And
10 copies and you were distributing them. Like,
Ways and Means definitely needs the copy.
Well, if we only
maybe it
had-
was Ways and Means. I think Ways and
Maybe
yes,
it was
Jenny
Ways and
started-
Means.
Yeah, Jenny started memorizing. Yes.
Go ahead, Councilor Lusardi.
I definitely got a copy. I thought that others, I could be wrong. I don't know what happened with everybody else, if others had
Is it online?
received a copy, but
Not that I'm
I know
aware
that
of.
I
Is
We
it-
can put it on.
Put it in the group?
Yes, absolutely. We have
Okay.
it electronically.
So that's how it usually gets out there
Okay, it might
because,
be up already, but
Okay.
I think it is up because I think I've seen it as
Yeah,
well,
I think I
so.
did put it up in the electronic, and there's a file called audits, I'm pretty sure I put it, it would be 23, or 22's audit. So I'm fairly certain I put it up there.
Okay,
has
23
23's
is
been,
not done,
not done yet.
just,
Done.
we're not
That's
even
it.
closed
Yeah.
23 yet, so yes, it's just 22 that we're speaking of.
okay, thank you. And then we can take that, after we have the audit presentation and report, then we can address the question of cybersecurity in the audit.
so that's gonna be held for now.
Yes, that'll be held for now. Moving operating budget to June and capital improvements to January, then capital budget would be later. That was brought up in June. I think there might be some charter issues that might have to be addressed in that. So let's hold that until we get a definitive answer on whether charter will allow that or not,
Well, the charter would need to be amended
in order to.
to allow it.
Okay. So let's hold that.
Yeah, many facets of the charter would need to be amended.
Okay. Okay. Fiscal year 23 balance sheet and end of year reports, including general funds, grants and revenues. Also the tax recap, cherry sheet, new growth, and then any updates regarding the 2024 budget, if any. We've already talked about that being made available to Ways and Means and Council. All right. City Clerk.
So I had the open meeting law listed on here because there were some questions about how CRE and the precinct meeting was going to be structured. Sorry. So a little catch there. So I just wanted to glaze over it. So CRE is going to be a CRE meeting. The counselors participating will be the CRE members. Any precinct counselors or whatsoever that attend will attend and sit in the audience and won't be allowed to participate with what the precinct people are saying. It's gonna be slightly structured as public comment, so there won't be a distinct back and forth going on. They'll be allowed a certain amount of time. If someone is just looking for a department to contact, then that information would be provided. But as far as if someone comes and says, I want you to, work on this ordinance, as an example, that would then need to be taken back to committee chairs and go through the whole process. A counselor would need to support it. And as far as a press release, media release goes, we would do something relatively simple, probably with and through the mayor's office, through the communications director, so that people know who, what, where, when, and how. And we've also reached out to the precinct counselors to get a list of possible topics for discussion. Because as you know, under open meeting law, we can't use a blanket statement anymore. We can't say discussion with precinct members. We have to list all that we can think of topics that would come before us. So we have to structure it differently than we did a few years ago. But it's really all about open meeting law.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there no way to have a public, is there no way to have like a public meeting where the public is able to have direct communication back and forth with counselors?
So there are variables. If you open yourself up to dialogue, you're possibly talking about items not listed on the agenda, which could be considered a violation. If you open yourself up to dialogue and someone on either side doesn't appreciate what is being said, the temperature may rise in the room. And you don't want that sort of a conflict during the meeting.
Yeah. But it's not like, I know, so I just attended an Austin, Texas city council meeting where there was public comment and city councilors directly responded to people in public comment in the meeting. And I was like, oh, we're not allowed to do that. But I understand, like, we would never want the temperature to rise, and it's like, in the political climate we're in, can be a slippery slope, but I also I would hope that these public meetings would be a time that the public could have direct back and forth with counselors in a respectful,
you would hope,
way. I mean, I'm not like.
So there are many communities in Massachusetts that are saying no to any public comment.
Yeah, that's wild.
I
mean, I totally get why in this political climate, but
it's a clean distinction between this is your legislative body, these are our rules, this is what we can do, which is the purse. You hold the purse string.
Yeah.
And you obtain ordinances. Everything else is outside of the legislative body's role.
Yeah, it just seems like there's a
So-
level of accountability that's missing for me when you don't have to respond back to a person.
But that's
Or
not,
you don't have the option to.
that's not the legislative body's role.
Yeah.
So we're trying, making the clean cut, no public comment is a clear way to send that message. It's not that you don't want to help people.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to help people.
Right. Yeah.
But is it the legislative body's role?
Mm-hmm.
And if I could pick up on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. It worked extremely well, okay, when the mayor held these types of precinct meetings and everything else, because she is not subject to open meeting law in that regard. It's a party of one. And you get a lot of information, a lot of give and take, and counselors were sitting in the audience at the time, and they could participate back and forth with the mayor and the people in the room.
So when the council holds the meeting and then even if, were you just sure there wasn't a quorum in the audience? When the mayor held them?
When the mayor holds them, again, she's not subject to the open meeting law. My recollection is that we wouldn't have a full, but I've been through this.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
wouldn't have a full council.
Right.
So say if we were only doing precincts 1, 2, and 3, we might get those counselors. And maybe the council president or something to sit down, but not everybody participated. They were all there to listen. And the
Okay.
mayor was basically there to field the questions and going back and forth. But they could also say something to the mayor as well.
Okay.
Like I heard from my precinct that this person is correct. We do have this problem.
Yeah.
So,
You know.
and in that scenario, what I would say to any counselor attending is don't sit anywhere near another counselor.
Yeah.
You want to be completely separate
Yeah.
from anyone that says, well, Mary and Chris sat next to one another and they would, you want to be the line of appearance, you want to step back from it.
Yeah.
You want to remove yourself from anyone even being able to think that you're here, I'm gonna pick on you,
Yeah.
that you two were talking,
Yeah.
talking about council business.
Yeah.
Excuse
Okay,
me,
well, that's helpful for the future.
Ginny's had her hand up for quite a while.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, Jenny.
I had my hand up to say what Mary Ann was saying.
Mhm.
I actually came last month to CRE thinking that we were having a precinct meeting for 1, 2, and 3. And Chris, I'm just going to say to you, I wonder if that's what you were envisioning when you were setting up these precinct meetings, that we were actually going to have meetings where we were not going to have dialogue. Because this, I was giving information to Kathy for things that I thought might be topics for discussion. I
Mhm.
remember as a citizen attending CRE meetings when Brickett was on, and I forget who else was in that, but I said we actually talked back and forth. And I, just as a counselor, I understand that there are issues with the open meeting law, but do we all actually want to give up other nights if we can't have dialogue with our constituents? That's what I was hoping was going to happen at precinct meetings, that there would be back and forth. So that's just my opinion. I know that Kathy actually knows much more about all of our regulations and has spent, the entire time since I've known Kathy trying to keep us honest and obeying the rules of the Commonwealth and any other rules that we were supposed to obey. But I just feel like I'm going to be there. And I thought it was going to be different this time, that we were going to be able to talk with people if they came. And I wondered if that's what you envisioned, that it was going to be this structured whatever. That's all I have to say.
Well, if I could respond right off the cuff, and then if you want to chime in.
Mhm.
It was my hope, actually, that could happen. That a dialogue could be fostered there, and basically, it would be a good opportunity to exchange. However, the open meeting law, in my opinion, has changed significantly. And recently, it's been a challenge to make sure that there is no violation of open meeting law. And there's a lot of issues right now surrounding that. So we want to be, I don't want to get a $10,000 fine because I violated open meeting law. That's a severe scenario, but I still want to be seen as doing the appropriate business. It's a very fine line. The intention was really good, but the state has come along and said, we can't. Or we can, but only under these parameters. Councilor Emma.
Well, I think you may have answered part of my question, and Kathy, you may want to cover your ears for this part.
We're recorded now, Phil.
Well, I want to know what the penalties are for violating open meeting law. Here we are running scared, but and sort of it's feeling to some of us like we can't do our business. So we get our hands slapped or we get sued, that would be an interesting case. Not that I have the money to pay for the lawyer, but anyway, I'm just raising the possibility that we just ignore open meeting law and do what we think is right, and then deal with the consequences. Okay, Kathy, you can take your, you can open your ears again.
Let's talk about Kathy. But might I say something?
Would you like
Kathy?
Diana to go before you?
I, go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead.
I would not advise that, Counselor Elmer, but I guess what I do wonder, I think what Kathy's saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy, but
Sure.
you can't, what she's basically saying, and I had sort of mentioned this, I think, when you had your last community relations meeting, is that I can't understand, and I just kind of Googled very quickly other cities to see if they have like council precinct meetings. But I can't imagine that as an elected official, if you want to meet with your constituents, that you can do that. You can have a precinct meeting. I think when it becomes dicey is when it's combined with us, like basically using city resources to do the outreach for it, using city resources to sort of plan it and orchestrate it. But as an elected official, just like the mayor could go and hold constituent meetings of her own avail, I presume that the elected officials, meaning the councilors, can also hold these meetings. You can't have a quorum, you can't discuss the outcome with a quorum of your council, but you could bring the individual issues that are brought to you as councilors, much as Councilor Golub has gone out now with her constituents, you can bring them back to department heads, myself as the chief staff, you could bring them back to a CRE and then decide if they need to go, to other places. So I don't think that there's an inability for you as councilors to engage with their constituency. I think it's just a matter of how we support that as the city, because we have the rules that we have to follow. We have open meeting law, if you have a quorum, posting agendas, all of those things. So I think back in the day, they were mostly like you did them at Elm Terrace or you did them at, different places. You just, found some places to do that with your, the neighborhoods.
Yep.
So, is that correct, Kathy? Can they do that as elected officials of their own board?
So in the past, before this environment that we all now live in, yes, it was done as a CRE meeting and it was done in different places in different precincts. And open meeting law, you could use a blanket statement to say discussion with precincts 1, 2, and 3 constituents. That is not how it is now, regardless of what we think of it. I also would not recommend disregarding open meeting law when you are a council subcommittee, just my 2 cents, even though I'm not on the council. The things and the ways that we're trying to do it are because it is being done by a council subcommittee. If a couple of councilors want to get together, Jenny has her hand up, and have their own, have at it. But make sure there's no quorum.
Councilor DeSoria?
I just think we should reconsider the whole thing then, truthfully, because I was totally looking forward to it and I am totally not looking forward to it because I feel, no, I'd love to have it. And that, I don't mean that, I think if there's a rule, there's a reason for it. And I don't want us to get I don't know exactly if the rules are always good, but it is a rule. And I don't want us to get a big fine, but I just can't imagine being in a room, bringing people together, setting aside a night for something where we're going to have a timer. And that doesn't seem like what we envisioned. And I think it should be reconsidered in light of this new regulation.
Thank you. I want to point out something that I thought is a pretty significant piece of this argument that Clerk Scott just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. And that is what is considered to be the council's function. And as she pointed out, it's a legislative function, it's a financial function. And I get that. What we've tried to do as a council is to be more receptive to our constituents and try to help with them with some of the problems that we have in the city. However, my personal opinion on this is a lot of the issues that come to us as individual councilors, and you'll see all the emails that we get all the time and everything else, are oftentimes prefaced with, I've already talked to the mayor's office or the Board of Health or the this or the that, and I'm not getting any response from that. I'm not getting any satisfaction from that. And as a result, it comes to council where there is hope because you have representatives in each precinct and at large, that this council may be able to do something. Some of the things we can help with, many of the things we cannot help with. And so I just want to say that Kathy drew this line that said, this is the council, this is your function, this is your function. And basically, that's really what open meeting law recognizes. And we have to kind of watch that. And I agree with that. I do, in principle, I do agree with that. Now, is there, what else, again, in my opinion, the simplest solution is for the mayor to hold precinct meetings. The simplest solution is for the mayor to go into neighborhoods and talk to people, go to the senior center or go to Elm Terrace or go to Wyden Woods or whatever it is and talk to people and figure out what is really affecting them in their daily lives in their precincts. And that hasn't happened. I don't think it is going to happen. So I think the council is trying to make up for that, which I think is noble. But with open meeting law, it's like our hands are tied because we are a corporate body and not an individual.
Yeah, I think that I'm trying to think of like what the utility is of having the CRE meetings. And I think if there was ample time, like planning time ahead. So like a press release could go out, like mailers could go out. Like for one, I never read the newspaper. So like if a press release is in the recorder, like I look at the Boston Globe twice a week on mine. And like that's unless someone sends me a link and is like, look at this. But so, I think that unless there was like the utility of it being this combined function of the executive and the legislative body would be that we could use the resources of the city to make it an open meeting, to do publicity in that way, and then have it be very clear to constituents, this is going to function like a council meeting in that we can't respond to you. You can come, you have a timed public comment limit, but it's almost like, I almost feel like we get that in city council meeting. Like we have hours long public comment, which is my favorite part of the meeting.
Right.
What actually seems, and I totally get that, like, whatever, more than anything, I felt stifled in this position that like, you don't have the power to do the thing that you want to do or the people want you to do. And if it is that we as counselors can just go hold precinct meetings, I mean, I've held precinct meetings twice now, once in my yard. And but like knowing now, I'm like, oh, we could go do publicity and send out a press release and hold a meeting that then we could structure in a way that feels more authentic to the mission of what was trying to be done with these meetings. Part of me is like what Ginny's saying, like, does it make sense for us to tack another meeting onto our agenda when precinct 1 and 2 counselor could just say, we're meeting, and precinct 4 and 5 could say we're meeting to get like, or whatever, or one at a time individually, and we do our own press for it. And we just hope for the best in terms of relational stuff.
The issue of public speaking and public comment and discussion with the public and everything else, I think is a foundational one. And it's very important. Where I think there is a meld, as you were mentioning, is that if you have an individual or say a joint, say you do 1, 2, and 3, all 3 counselors show up at somebody's house and you meet and do something, is that the feedback now becomes yours to move forward into a legislative mode so that these issues can be addressed either financially or legislatively. I mean, yeah, and I'm agreeing with everybody here. I'm disappointed because before we had the issues with the open meeting law and everything else that's happening, we did have a wonderful CRE meeting with David Lanoy from Public Safety, and we did have people in the room and online, and we were able to have discussions back and forth about, justice. And that was an excellent meeting. And a lot was learned and a lot was gained. But now, and the other thing that's kind of bothering me, I'm sorry, we're off topic. This is not, the other thing that doesn't feel quite right to me is that there is really no, there is no venue.
Yeah.
There is no venue. And I don't know how we go about that. And I don't even think a charter change would make that any difference if there was an open meeting law that superseded us. So let me just,
Ginny's on mute.
You're muted, Ginny. Oh,
I'm gonna have to go in a minute because I actually am having
let me just ask a question because we're really at the end of our agenda. But is it the consensus of this chairs group that we should continue with CRE or not continue? Does anybody have a thought on that?
I'd say go
Counsel?
ahead. It's better than nothing.
Okay. Councilor DeSorga?
Well, I'm sorry. If we're having it, I'll have it, but I'm so disappointed that that's the way it is. I was envisioning a dialogue, so I'd be the opposite of what Phil said. But I can understand Phil's point of view. I think we should can it because there's no talking.
Okay, thank you.
I'll come, but I want to just do precinct meetings held without an open meeting.
Okay,
And I just want to say, Kathy, I do always appreciate, I always appreciate that you know the rules and that you line us up.
Yeah.
I really do.
okay, so what I will do is I will take it under advisement with our president and our clerk, and you should hear shortly on whether we continue or not. So, thank you all. I think that is basically going to be it. So the council meeting will be, on the agenda will be the police officers, the mayor's appointments. The equity issue is not going to be on the agenda. Correct.
Coming off of the council agenda being left on the A&O.
Correct.
Okay.
And the interfund transfer will be on the agenda. It's a light agenda.
Could I?
Jinx it. Knock on wood.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me put the hand down. I'm actually really confused about how we introduce new topics now under open meeting law. So I could use some advice. There are 2 issues that have come up. One, at the Greenfield Business Association, Tim Dolan got a lot of support for the idea of a vacancy tax. I ran this past the mayor at the TIF meeting, and she kind of liked it. But I would be happy to put it on the EDC agenda for a future time, or just see whether we could, if you want to discuss it at full council, that's another option. The second thing I want to bring up, excuse me?
That should go on our next chairs.
It should, but do you have language to submit? Do you have a
No,
proposal?
No, Dolan was supposed to draft something. I said I would put it forward if he drafted it. So it's at early stages still.
Okay, so
So maybe
generally
prepared.
someone would submit information as a proposal. So if Tim Dolan is gonna be getting you something, maybe when you receive it, forward it into the clerk's office to Tammy, myself, and Quinn, and it will go on a committee chair's agenda. But until we have something, it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall to see if it's done. We need to have something.
Okay, got it. The other item probably falls under that as well, so I'll leave it there.
Okay, all right. So on the agenda will be first readings. There is none. And new business on the council floor will be selection of a city council attorney. And I think that is all that will be on our agenda for the council meeting. Anything else that you want to include or?
Yeah, I think we'll want to put something on there either specifically in the updates from the mayor or under new business around the opioid settlement funds update, just so there's a space for that.
Okay.
Under either mayor or new business.
Yeah.
And who will let us know where it should go?
Well, where is the appropriate place? Is the discussion with the mayor appropriate or?
I think at this point, it would be
Is it about money or something else?
I think it would be an update on process from the mayor, so it should go under the mayor.
Opioid settlement fund process?
Yep.
Under mayor, is that? Okay,
That's fine.
okay.
I'm just trying to think, was there anything last month that came up that we were like, we can't talk about this because it's not on the agenda?
Just GMTA that was
Because it's
thoroughly
summertime.
talked about.
Oh,
so, you know.
hopefully we don't have to talk about it again. Don't bring it up again.
I'm just saying, you know, doing the job.
It's all good.
Okay.
Is there any other chair that really wants anything else to talk about? Any other topics? Okay, so it looks like our business is complete for this evening. It is 6:50.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night. Thank you all very much.